Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next and final round of spoilers and stuff I'm going to be doing. I want to assess the cards here and actually talk about mainly sealed here. I'm going to bring up standard too and stuff, but these are mainly my picks for sealed and how well I think they're going to do. So let's get right into it. First, I want to talk about the paradigm cycle. So I think the really cool ones are the white, blue, and the black ones. The white one I think might be the nicest just because it's a recursion spell that they can't even get rid of and it's consistent. So what Restoration Seminar says is it's 5 white. It's a sorcery lesson. Return target non-land permanent and card. Wow. Return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield with Paradigm, which for those who don't know, Paradigm is that you then exile the spell after you first resolve a spell with this name. You may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your first main phases. That is just a pretty solid effect in general, in my opinion, and I'm going to be happy with that. Will it be good in the sealed? I'm not too sure because it is very expensive, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Echo Casting Symposium is 4 blue. It's a sorcery lesson once again. Target player creates a token that's a copy of target creature you control with Paradigm. And once again, we all know what Paradigm is at this point. Creating a token of any creature you want is pretty insane in my opinion. That can be really powerful. So yeah, I'm excited to try that out and see where that goes. So yeah, Decorum Dissertation. It's the black Paradigm card. 3 black. Once again, sorcery lesson that says target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life with Paradigm. Yeah, like you draw 2 cards and lose 2 life, and if you're too low in life and you don't want to keep losing life, you just target your opponent, and yeah, they start drawing, but they're gonna start losing a lot of life that way. And yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be really fun, especially if you. This is the one I think in sealed is an auto pull for me, because if you get this in green blue. Green black, sorry. If you get this green black, you will be able to outgain the life lost anyways and just continuously draw cards. If you get this in black white, you're already going to be trying to burn your opponent in different ways anyways. So just here's another way to burn them if you don't want to burn yourself. On with that, let's look at the next 2 Paradigm cards. The red one, Improvisation Capstone, is 5 red, sorcery less once again. Exile cards from top of your library until you exile cards with total mana value 4 or greater. You may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana cost. So, and we also once again has Paradigm. So, I think this will be really good. I am a little concerned about the fact that well, I guess it's 4 or greater. So you can, if you type like 1 5-cost spell, you just cast that 1 spell. But yeah, it's definitely a good way to get an extra spell because there's a lot of creatures that care about the number of spells you can cast, especially 3 or more. Like if you get I'm forgetting what it's called. It's the Emeritus. It's the red Emeritus that says whenever you cast a spell, whenever you cast 3 spells in a turn, it becomes prepared. Like that. This is the really great way to be able to prepare something easier because you're just casting a 1 spell for free, and then you only need to cast 2 more spells. And actually, you're casting this as well. So you only need 1 more spell, and then you get him prepared so you can cast his lightning bolt. Yeah, that could be really good. I am actually really realizing that's going to be really good, and probably an auto pick as well. Next up is Germination Practicum, though. 3 green. Sorcery lesson. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control with Paradigm. Now this is exactly what green wants to do. It's just, yeah, I'm going to make my creatures bigger, and I'm doing it for 5 mana every turn now, 5 mana the first turn, and I'm doing it for free every turn after that. And you can't really stop it because it's a sorcery unless they have counterspell. But at that point, it's already exiled. So I'm not sure how that will interact. Like, for how it reads to me, then exile the spell after your first resolve a spell with this name. You may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost. So you have each of your first main phases. So yeah, even if you counter like the copies, they still get it. Like there's not much you can stop for them. Otherwise, let's get on to the next thing, which I want to talk about, is the Emeritus Second card. So, I've already talked about the Paradigm cards a little bit, and the other Emeritus cards before this. But I want to talk about them all in sequence. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but here we are. But first, let's talk about Emeritus of Truth. It's 1 white. It's a cat cleric creature. It says, when this creature enters, target player creates a 1/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Then, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared card is Swords of Plowshare. It's 1 white. It's an instant that says exile target creature's controller gains life equal to its power. Now, Source of Plowshare is a instant commander staple, and it's really good. This card, though, this card's home, I think, is going to either be in white-red or white-black. White-black, you probably could get this prepared more often, but white-red, you're creating a bunch of spirit tokens. I don't think this is going to be very accessible in those decks. Even the black-white maybe, because you are going to be making inkling tokens and stuff. It does let you give your opponent a creature if you want to be able to, for them to have more creatures than you, but I don't know, I think it's going to be a little iffy at times, and plus paying the 1 and letting them gain life and stuff can be a little rough. I still really love Emeritus Ideation, though. It's 3 blue. It's a human wizard that says Flying Ward 2. This creature enters prepared. Whenever this creature attacks, you may exile 8 cards from your graveyard. If you do, this creature becomes prepared. And it has Ancestor Recall, which is one of the power 9 for 1 blue instant. Target player draws 3 cards. Yeah, draw 3 cards for 1 blue. You're basically getting a 6-drop, a 6 mana, 5/5 with Flying Award and draw 3 on ETB. It's really good. I love it, and I want this card to be good. I can't say it will be good, but I really do want it to be good. Emeritus Lowith is the one I think is going to be probably the best, or at least more valuable Emerituses. It's 3 in a black, Vampire Warlock. This creature enters prepared. At the beginning of your end step, if you 2 or more creatures died this turn, this creature becomes prepared. And the prepared spell is Demonic Tutor, which Demonic Tutor printed again. We had Demonic Tutor in TMNT with Splinters. I forget the card. It's Splinter something. It's normally a 4-drop, but you sneak in for 1 in a black if you do the sneak ability. And for those who don't know what Demonic Tutor does, is search your library for a card, put the card into your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, just 2 mana to just search for a card, 6 mana to just search for a card even. That is just really good in general too, and I'm excited for it to be on a body that is as good as Emeritus of Woe is, even though it is a 5/4 for 4. That's still pretty solid in my opinion. But yeah, on to that, let's talk about the other 2 Emeritus that are in the set. So I did say earlier I think Emeritus of Woe will probably be the best one. I think this is true. I think it's going to be one of the better ones. But I think Emeritus of Conflict will probably be up there, tied with it, or probably will be above it. It's 1 in a red, creature, human, wizard, with first strike, and whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, this creature becomes prepared. It's a 2/2 body that has Lightning Bolt attached to it. This says Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to any target. Yeah, you cast 2 spells in a turn, which we've already discussed. You can probably do pretty quickly with the Paradigm red card, but I can't promise that. It's definitely a later game thing, and will this stick around? Who knows? I think if this does stick around, it's a very good win condition. I mean, yeah, it's a great card. I'm really excited to see what it does. And then the green one, Emeritus of Abundance, is 2 in a green. It's an elf druid with vigilance, and this creature enters prepared. Whenever this creature attacks, if you control 8 or more lands, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Regrowth, 1 in a green. Sorcery is a set that says return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 3/4 body. Yeah, it's a solid spell, solid body. It's a 3/4, so it is a little above curve, and as vigilance, it does have to survive the combat in order for it to actually cast a spell. But I mean, that's honestly fine. Being able to pull any creature card from your graveyard to your hand, it's a pretty big deal, especially in green. There is green black that's going to be wanting to do that a lot. Green anything will probably want to do that, because just pulling out your best creature and stuff from the graveyard is almost always going to be a good deal. We'll see how it goes. With that, let's talk about I want to talk about the staple white cards that I want to pull. I'm going to do that for each color, and then I want to talk about the actual specific sub-archetypes for each deck that is going to be in the set. So let's start with white. I first want to talk about the actual bombs in this set. So these are the 3 cards in white that are going to be auto picks. If you pull these, I think you can start building your entire deck around these cards and do really well. So first off, Stirring Hopesinger. It's 2 in a white. It's a bird bar that says Flying Lifelink and Reparty. Whenever you cast an instant source spell that targets a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now, It's a 3-drop that will scale throughout the entire game. As long as you have the spells, this card will get stronger and will get better. And it's also having lifelink, so it will bring you back. If you're behind, you can start gaining life on this too. And I really like it. And it's perfect in the white-black decks because that's what wants to cast it a lot. But it goes perfectly into a white-red deck as well because white-red will be casting a lot of spells, but white-black is the main home for that. And I'm realizing I did focus on a lot of spells that do reward white-black a lot, but they do work on white-red as well. Informed Inkwright is 1 and a white creature, human, wizard that says Vigilance or Party. Whenever you cast an instant source spell that targets a creature, create a 1/1 white and black equaling creature token with flying. Now this straight up is going to go in a white-black deck. It does work in white-red too because you are creating more bodies, but white-black wants this. It's a way to sacrifice something. It's a way to... It gives you rewards for casting spells that target creatures, and that's exactly what white-black wants to do. And I really like it. I really love the white-black combo. I think white-black and black-green are probably my favorite combos of the set. And then, yeah, it's a solid body. It's an early player that can come in and you buff it and do other things with spells and create a really big board. Finally, the other white rare I think will be really good to have is Practice Offense. 2 and a white. It's a source that says, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Target creature gains your choice of double strike or lifelink until end of turn, and has flashback for 1 and a white. And for flashback, if those who don't know, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Practice Offense is just a really good card in general. 3 mana to be able to make your board bigger and give something double strike or lifelink. If you want to go for the kill, you give them double strike and you can probably kill them outright then and there if you have enough damage. Or if you're behind and they have a bunch of creatures, but you're just trying to gain some life or something, you can lifelink and heal. And then the flashback is cheaper than the Practice Offense. So if you discard this in white-red, you put it into the graveyard with one of your discard or mill effects, you can then flashback it, and you just get it for cheaper, and you also get rewarded because white-red wants to have things leave the graveyard. And we'll get more into that when we talk about red and the other colors. Yeah, other than that, these are 3 rare. So let's talk about the actual common creatures I think will be a big deal. So I did say common, but I mean common and uncommon because you're going to see both just as often. The one I really like is Ennis Debate Moderator. He's 1 and a white, legendary creature, human cleric. When Ennis enters, exile one other target creature you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. At the beginning of your end step, if one or more cards were put into an exile this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Ennis. Now, I really like Ennis because, first off, he comes off early and puts something into the graveyard. He not puts it in the graveyard, he blinks something, so he exiles and brings it back. Now, blink, especially this set, I think is going to be really good because you have a lot of creatures that say, oh, when this creature enters prepared, but then you can't re-prepare it. This outright lets you re-prepare things and just do their effects multiple times. So yeah, I like it. I think it'll be a lot of play, especially the fact that when it buffs itself too, and doing this multiple times will also buff it. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory. If you pull this, I would grab it immediately. Owlin Historian as well. 2 and a white. It's a creature bird cleric that says, flying when this creature enters surveil 1. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Again, with Ennis, perfect target because you blink it, you surveil, and you send something to your graveyard, and then whenever something leaves your graveyard, which white-red, you want to do that all the time, it makes it bigger. The rest of the turn, unfortunately, but as a common, that's pretty good. And I like it a lot. I think it's going to be a really good beater to possibly win the game. The final card we've already talked about before, but it's one that I think is going to be an auto pickup. Like, if you see this card and you have no other higher value cards you want, this is going to be the card to go for. Shattered Acolyte. 1 and a white. It's a creature dwarf warlock that says lifelink, and pay 1, sacrifice a creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's a 2/2 body. Now, a 2/2 body with lifelink in general is going to be pretty solid because whenever it attacks, assuming they don't block, it's going to be a swing of 4 life because they're losing 2 and you're gaining 2. So you're going to be up a total of 4 life in that exchange. And the fact that it has a sacrifice this creature, you can destroy some artifact or enchantment. There's not many ways to destroy artifacts and enchantments really that often. So getting it is almost always going to be a big deal. Plus, in white-black, there's plenty of ways to bring this thing back to be able to sacrifice multiple things. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to be one of the better commons to pull for. But with that, let's go on to the individual spells. So, creatures are a big deal in Seal in general, but with this set specifically, you're going to want a lot of spells. And so I want to talk about which ones I think are going to be the most important to look for. I personally think white probably has some of the best removal in the set, because it has Stand Up For Yourself, which is 2 and a white. This is destroy target creature's power 3 or greater. Now, there are also going to be creatures that have smaller powers that you want to get rid of, but this is a really solid way to, oh, he has a big creature that's going to kill me. I need to get rid of this. 3 mana, it's gone. So, and that's at the uncommon level. There are a few other common way spells and stuff that do it, but I think Stand Up For Yourself and Harsh Annotation are the 2 best ways to do it. Harsh Annotation is 1 and a white. It's an instant that says destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Now, replacing any scary creature with a 1/1 Inkling is pretty. I'd take that any day. Like, dealing with a 1/1 is much better than having some sort of crazy effect like the Emeritus's or anything else. And Erode is the 3rd pick I put on here. I'm not sure if Erode will actually be the best, just because you ramp them. If you cast this early, you ramp them a land, which can be really dangerous. Erode is a white instant that says destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Now, in standard nowadays, there's a lot of people don't even run base anymore, so I think in standard this probably can do pretty well, assuming you're playing against like higher end people. But anyone who's running any basic lands, you're basically just giving them a free land source if you do this on the wrong spell. If you do this late game when it doesn't really matter too much, you can get a really big positive swing in mana here, because they could have spent like 6-7 mana on a creature, but you only spent 1 to get rid of it. That's pretty good. I'll take that any day. But if you do this early, you are ramping them, so that is the one thing you kind of have to worry about and consider casting the spell. Other than that, that's kind of everything I want to talk about with white. Let's move on to the next color, which I want to talk about is blue. And first, let's talk about the rares. These are the 3 rares in blue that I think will call you into direction like the most right away. First off, let's talk about Pensive Professor. It's 1 blue. It's a human wizard that's a 0/2. It has increment, and whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, draw a card. Now, increment is going to be a ability that goes in green-blue right away. This is phenomenal in that card because green-blue has a lot of X-cost spells that you can spend any amount of money you want and to make this thing as big as possible. This will also work in any other blue deck. Like, it will work in blue-red because it just won't work as long, because blue-red doesn't have nearly as many X-cost spells. It has the Paradigm card that's 7 mana, and you have a lot of 5-drops in that. So you can make this like a 5/5 or even a 7/7 or 7/9 because it's a 0/2. But its home is green-blue. That's going to be the place you want it the most. But it does work in blue-red. So you are a little flexible there, but not too flexible. But honestly, it's a card that I would genuinely pick up right away if I see this. Is it the right call? Maybe not. But I think right away, when we play this initially, I want it to have this card. Mana Skull in the hand, I think this goes in any blue deck. Mana Skull is 1 blue. I've talked about this one before. It's an instant that says counter target spell. If you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless mana equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. So you counter the spell in their turn, like, oh, I'm now going to gain. Say they cast their one of their 5-drops. I'm going to gain 5 colorless mana from that, and I'm just going to pop off with something. In blue-red especially, this is phenomenal because you cast it, you countered the spell, and now you get a bunch of extra mana to cast your expensive spells with. Green-blue too. If you have this in green-blue, you have however much mana to cast on an X-cost spell now for free. Well, not for free. You did pay 3 mana, but you're getting it back to cast other spells. And I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be an auto pickup no matter what you do. And I think it's going to really be good in standard as well. And finally, I have Sky Coach Conductor. 2 and a blue. It's a creature. It's a 2/3 creature bird pilot. It has Flash of Flying and Vigilance. This creature enters prepared, and its prepared spell is All Aboard, which is 1 blue. It's an instant that says, exile target non-pilot creature you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under your owner's control. This works really well in a white-blue deck, which white-blue isn't actually a supported archetype of this set, but it's going to be good. And splashing in the blue for this, I think, is going to be fine and fairly easy in most of the cards. Blue-red will be happy to see this because it does have Sonar in there. And Sonar, you can only activate its effect once. But if you pull this late and you have Sonar on the field, you can then play this and bounce Sonar to search for another instant sorcery that you really need in the moment. But yeah, like, I'm excited for them. I think they're all pretty good. Like, oh, this is the direction I want to go if you just see a blue rare. But with that, let's go ahead and talk about some of the creatures that you want to pull if you're actually in this archetype. Before we get into the rest of the card stuff, if you are still watching at this point, I want to thank you. Like, you're 20 minutes into a video, and I assume that means you're enjoying it. And if you're enjoying it, go ahead, like, subscribe. Like, let me comment. Let me know what you think about the set itself. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, what I can do better. Yeah, hope you guys are enjoying. Let's get back into the video. The blue uncommons, I'm actually really excited for all these. I think they're all going to be really good. So let's start with Encouraging Aviator. Encouraging Aviator is a 2 in blue creature bird wizard that's a 2/3. It has flying, and whenever the creature attacks, it becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Jump. It's an instant that says target creature gains flying until end of turn. Now, this is a flyer that creates other flyers. It's going to let you swing in for a bunch of damage, and yeah, I think it's going to be good in general. Like, this is just a good beat body that lets you beat in for some damage. And it kind of calls for a removal spell or something, otherwise they're just going to take a bunch of damage unless they have their own flyers, which there are flyers, but the odds of someone having a flyer aren't always guaranteed. So if you have it but they don't, it's a lot of free damage. The other spell I really like is Muse Seeker. It's a 1 in a blue creature elf wizard that's a 1 in a 2. It has Opus that says whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, draw a card. Then discard a card unless 5 or more mana is spent to cast that spell. Now, Muse Seeker works really well in green blue because 5 more mana spent to cast a spell, you don't have to discard the card. But it also works in blue-red because blue-red wants you to be casting spells, it wants you to be cycling through cards and digging through. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good card. I think it's going to be great to have in general. And it's going to be an uncommon card that you see often enough that you can put into your deck. The other one that I think is going to be really good is Tester of the Tangential. 1 in a blue that has Increment, which increment is whenever you cast a spell. If the amount of mana spent is greater than the creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 on this creature. And also has, at the beginning of your combat and your turn, you may pay X. When you do, move X +1/+ counters on this creature onto another target creature. Yeah, you make this bigger, and then as the add benefit of, it's already big. Now I'm going to move those tokens from this guy onto another creature that I also want to be bigger. So this card tone is going to be in green-blue, obviously. But it does work in blue-red. It works in just about any other deck that has blue, because it lets you have bigger creatures to be able to block off and like defend yourself from other things that people are trying to do. Now with that, let's talk about some of the really good spells I think you're going to want to look out for here. Blue is, as always, about tapping and bouncing creatures back to hand, or countering spells. So with that, it only makes sense that the best blue spells are going to be ones that either let you bounce something or counter them. There's also tapping them, of course. So the first pick I have that you see you probably want to take it is Banishing Betrayal. It's 1 in a blue that says return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. You Surveil 1. Surveil, really powerful effect. It just lets you look at the top of your library. If it's, I don't want this card, send it to the graveyard. And there is enough graveyard interactions with this set that sending to the graveyard is not a punishment. It's more likely going to be a valuable thing to do. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Put it in a hand. If they have something with increment or something, make the creature smaller. There's also Brush Off, which is 2 blue. It's an instant that says this spell costs one in a blue less to cast if it targets an instant or sorcery spell. Counter target spell. So this is just another counter spell. It works really well. It is more expensive than most counter spells, but at the uncommon level, and there's not really any other crazy good counter spells besides like Essence Scatter and things, which Essence Scatter is going to be an auto pick no matter what. I want to talk about something that was newer. So yeah, this is the pick. This is the one that I think you want to look out for, along with Procrastinate. Procrastinate is X blue. To source it says tap target creature, put twice X stun counters on it. So you pay 1 in a blue, you tap a creature, and you put 2 stun counters on it. And then etc. etc. It just gets more and more. Tapping something that is a big attacker that's going to be dealing a lot of damage and tapping where they just can't do anything is always going to be a really good thing to do, and you want to do that if you can, especially in blue. So yeah, this is just an auto include for me. This is something, if I see it, I'm going to take it. So with that, that's blue done. Let's go on to talk about black. Black is probably one of my favorite colors in Magic in general. But let's talk about the rares I think are going to be the best. So Grave Researcher's 200 black. It's a Troll Warlock creature. That's a 3/3. And it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Then, if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, this creature becomes prepared. Its prepared spell is Reanimate, which is 1 black, and it says put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to that card's mana value. Reanimate's a really powerful spell in general. It lets you cheat out a lot of really scary things. And I think it's going to be good in a standard and sealed. This is going to be a card that if you see it, you want to pull it immediately. Because it just gives you access to your strongest creatures again. It does a lot for you. And you can do this consistently. It's not just the one-time reanimate. It's multiple times as long as it stays on the field. This is probably going to be an auto removal for many people, but I still think it's worth pulling and having on the field in case it does get to stay. The other thing I think is going to be a big deal is Poxplague. It's 5 black mana, and it's a source that says each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifice half the permanent control of their choice. Round down each time. Now, Pox is an old card that does this exact same thing, but for a third of what you have instead. So doing half is for just 2 extra mana. It's a pretty good trade-off, I think. And Pox has always been really gross. It's always been really scary. So I think Pox and Sealed is going to be an auto include, and I think a lot of people are going to play around it in standard as well. I know for a fact if I pull it, I'm going to try and play around it. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to play around with it. The other rare I think you want to look out for is Scheming Silvertongue. It's 1 in a black. It's a vampire warlock that has flying and lifelink, and at the beginning of your second main phase, if you gain 2 or more life this turn, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Sign in Blood, which is black. It's a sorcery that says target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Now, this card belongs perfectly in black-green. Black-green, you're going to be gaining plenty of life, and you'll be able to do this consistently. And you'll be able to draw yourself 2. You'll be able to... Yes, you lose 2 life, but drawing extra cards is going to be a huge deal in general. It's just the way to do it. It even works on black-white, because if you have enough of the acolytes that are 2/2 life linkers, you just swing with them and gain 2 life, and you get this effect no matter what. But yeah, these are the 3 cards I look out for the most that are rares, besides the Emeritus or the Paradigm cards. And Paradigm's a mythic, anyways. For the creatures in black, these are all uncommon, but there are other creatures that do very similar effects to these, and that's what you want to look out for mainly. The first one to talk about is Forum Necroscribe. It's a 5 in a black creature troll warlock. It's a 5/4 that says ward, discard a card, and reparty. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, yeah, it's 6 mana. It's expensive, but this goes perfectly with black-green and white-black. Both are sacrificing creatures. Both are doing things. And black-green especially, you can get the 6 mana pretty quickly, I think. Because there's a lot of ramp and a lot of ways to do what you want to do. And then whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature, which there's a lot, which I'm going to show you, you get to bring back a creature from your graveyard and just do more and more. It's 6 mana, yes. It's expensive, but I think it's worth the effort if you get one. Next up is Leech Collector. It's 1 in a black. It's a creature human warlock that's a 2/2 and says whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Bloodletting. Each opponent loses 2 life. So yeah, you gain life and then you can just pay 1 black to make each opponent lose 2 life. You can't do this repeatably, which is unfortunate. But even just doing it once per turn is still a pretty good value there. And finally, Scathing Shadelock. It's 4 in a black. It's a creature, Snake Warlock. It's 4/6 that says at the beginning of your first main phase, this creature becomes prepared. And then its prepared spell is Venomous Words. And it's black. Target creature control gets +2/+0 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Now again, it's another expensive spell, but it shows exactly what you're looking for to do in black. You want creatures that the consistent prepared is really good because it lets you do things, but you also want spells that reward you or let you target things with a spell. And that's what basically all these do. They're payoffs for casting your spells. With that, let's go on to the actual spells themselves to see what you're trying to cast. For the black spells, I think Cost of Brilliance, it's 2 and a black, is going to be your biggest friend. It says, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. So, it's letting you draw cards. Yes, you lose life, but you're drawing the cards. And again, I think that is so good, especially in sealed where you don't have that big of a deck in the first place. You do want to dig through and find your best cards as fast as possible. But it's also letting you target creature. And with Reparty going around and so many things wanting you to target things with spells, this is just a really good spell in general because you're drawing cards and you're getting a +1/+1 on a creature plus whatever other creature you have that want you to target things with spells. Dissection Practice, it's 1 black, is my second favorite, I think. It says target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So you're gaining life and doing your thing there. Then it also targets 2 creatures actually, but you only get 1 effect because it's 1 spell. But it says up to 1 target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So if your opponent has a cheap, a weak 1/1 creature that they're having some do some sort of effect, this removes it. Or you can use it as a combat trick, give your creature +1/+1, give theirs -1/-1, and you now kill theirs in combat. And you're also targeting, so you even buff some cards out of that. So yeah, this is a really good 1-drop combat trick that does more than just a combat trick. It does a lot for 1 mana, actually. And then Foolish Fate, 2 and a black, destroy target creature with infusion. If you gain life this turn, that creature controller loses 3 life. This is a really good spell in black-green specifically, but if you have the acolytes and things, it is a good way to... It is going to be good in white-black as well. And these are auto-includes I would look for any time in your sealed pool. With that, that is black done. So let's move on to the red rares. First off, I've talked about this one before, Molten Core Maestro. It's 1 in a red, it's a creature goblin bard, it's a 2/2 that says Menace and Opus. Whenever you cast an instant source spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If 5 mana was spent to cast that spell, add an amount of red equal to this creature's power. Now, Molten Core Maestro is really good in general. He gets bigger every time you cast a spell, and if you cast it with 5 or more mana value, and you actually spend the mana to cast it, he gives you the mana back to cast it. Well, not necessarily the back. At a certain point, he will give you the mana back, because he's giving you he basically gives you a discounted price for each spell you cast. So yeah, I think he's going to be good at Sealed. I think he'll be good at Standard even, and we'll see how it goes from there, but pretty self-explanatory. He's a big beater that can go through and attack and just do a lot of damage and gives you extra bonuses if he stays around the field for long enough. Next, Steal the Show is 2 in a red. Wow, I'm stuck on black. It's a sorcery that says choose 1 or both. Target player discards any number of cards and draws down any cards. Or Steal the Show deals damage equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard to target a creature or planeswalker. Both of these are really solid effects. You get to discard your hand and draw a bunch of new cards. So if you're flooding and you have too much land in hand, you play this, discard them, and you draw in however many cards you did. And then you also deal damage equal to the number of sources you get. So if you get this late, you can just kill a scary creature. Assuming because if you get this late and you have like 6, 7, even 8 instant sources in your graveyard, you can have this and you just kill a creature. And then if you want to do it again, you have Flashback. It's 1 red, which I've talked about this one as well before. Target instant source card in your graveyard gains Flashback until end of turn. The Flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Yeah, Flashback is basically a copy of your best spell in your deck. And if you get multiple copies of this, it is bad because you can't use them unless you have cards in your graveyard. But I think it's worth having. I think it's worth an auto include if you do see it. With that, let's go on to some of the creatures you're going to want to look out for. So for the creatures in red, you have Garrison Excavator. He's a 3 and a red creature or sorcerer. That's a 3/4. It says Menace, and whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token. Now, as I mentioned before, red really wants creatures to leave your graveyard. Like Lore Hole, that's what they're all about. They're all about things leaving your graveyard, and then you get benefits for that leaving. So having a 4-drop that does that that rewards you for that is a pretty good in general too. You also have Goblin Glassrite. It's 1 in a red. Creature Goblin Sorcerer. This creature enters prepared. And its prepared spell is Craft with Pride. It's 1 red, create a treasure token. And the body itself is a 2/2. Now this goes right into the Prismari deck. It helps get you more mana for your big spells in Prismari. And yeah, that's the big thing for it. But it does work in White-Red as well, because White-Red wants to sacrifice artifacts at times, and this is a way to create an artifact for cheap. And then you have Thunderdrum Soloist. It's 1 in a red, Dwarf Bard creature. It's a 1/3 that has Reach and Opus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, this creature deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. Now, again, it's another Prismari card. I think it can work in Lorehold as well, but this card's home is going to be Prismari. I feel like Lorehold is going to be good if you get the cards for it, but I think Prismari overall has better cards in the red. In the red space, Prismari has the cards. Lorehold has a lot of good white cards, but all the red cards, I think, focus heavily on Prismari and support Lorehold more than anything. Same with Flashback. Flashback does work in Lorehold as well, because you flashback any spell you want from your graveyard. Yeah, with that, let's go ahead and talk about the spells you want to look out for in red. The biggest one I think you want to look out for, it's expensive, yes, but it's a good spell, especially for Prismari, is Heated Argument. 4 in a red, it's instant that says Heated Argument deals 6 damage to target creature. You may exile a card from your graveyard. If you do, Heated Argument also deals 2 damage to that creature controller. So Prismari and Lorehold both want this a lot. 6 damage is guaranteed to kill almost any creature. And then you exile a card from your graveyard, which Lorehold wants, because then you get a bunch of bonuses off that. And your opponent's going to get burned for 2 damage as well. So, yeah, the good card to have benefits both Lorehold and Prismari. So it's a good, well-rounded card for both decks that are going to want it. And then Practical Joke. Red. It's a red, 1 red. Sorcery. It says damage can't be prevented this turn, and Practical Joke deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Really good early burn spell. You can kill a lot of 3-drops with it, a lot of other things with it, which do make 3-drops in general a lot more risky to play. But I think they're still okay to play, but this is the thing you want to look out for the most to counter those cards. The other card is Seize the Spoils, 2 in a red. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. You then draw 2 cards and create a treasure. Now, this is just a common, this is a strong effect that every set, any deck wants, really. So, yeah, this is just an auto-include. If you see this, take it. It's easy to pick, because you also get ramp for spells later, and you draw more cards. With that, we've now finished all red, so let's go to the final color that we want to talk about, which is green. So for green, the best rares you're going to see is Comfort of Counsel, which is 1 in a green. It is an enchantment that says, whenever you gain life, put a growth counter on this enchantment. As long as there are 5 or more growth counters on this enchantment, creatures you control get +3/+3. This is an auto-include in the Golgari deck. Well, not even Golgari, Witherbloom, my bad. Because Witherbloom gains so much life that you'll easily be able to get the growth counters on this fast enough, and then all your creatures instantly get +3/+3. And you have a lot of really big, scary creatures at the point to just start swinging with and deal a bunch of damage. In your pests, whenever they attack you, gain 1 life, and with the boom, you're making a lot of pests. So there's now going to be 4/4s that gain you 1 life whenever they attack. Pretty no-brainer in my opinion. You also have Ambitious Augmenter. It's 1 green. It's a creature, turtle, wizard. That's a 1/1. It has increment. And when this creature dies, if it had 1 or more counters on it, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, then put the creature counters on that creature. Or on that token. This is a 1-drop that, yeah, it's going to get bigger throughout the entire game. And when it dies, you get another big body. So they basically have to kill this thing twice. So I think it's worth having. I think it's going to be a really solid rare to have in the deck. Maybe not the must pick, but I think it's a good rare to have in your deck if you do see it. The other one to see is Planar Engineering, 3 in a green. It's a sorcery that says, sacrifice 2 lands. Search your library for 4 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Yeah, you're thinning your deck out. You're getting 4 basic lands. That's going to be huge in general. You're ramping so much there. Yes, you have to sacrifice 2 lands, but you're getting back an extra 2 lands So I think it's worth it. We'll see how it goes, though. Yeah. With that, let's go ahead and talk about the actual creatures you want to focus on that are in the common and uncommon rarity. The most important one I think you want to pick up is Additive Evolution, 3 in a green. Now, it's not actually a creature itself, it's an enchantment, but it says, when this enchantment enters, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put 3 +1/+1 counters on it. At the beginning of your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains vigilance until end of turn. Now, it's a 5-drop, so yes, it's expensive. But getting a 3/3 that you can then buff any creature on the field you want and give it vigilance, that's a pretty fair trade-off, I think. And having 1 or 2 of these in your deck is going to be a really good way to build out your board and buff up your creatures really fast. With that, let's go into the next creature, which is Emil Vastlands Roamer. 2 in a green, legendary creature, elf druid. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. 4 in a green, tap, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named lands you control. Now, the 5-cost thing isn't going to be the craziest thing in the world, because I think in most cases those probably end up being a 2/2, unless you get crazy, go like a 5-color deck or something. But yeah, he's going to be good. He's going to give all your stuff trample, which trample is always good to have. And from there, let's go to the Shopkeeper's Bane. It's 2 in a green. It's a Badger Pest. It's a 4/2. Trample. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 2 life. This just lets you have a swing of 6 life whenever he attacks, because you're guaranteed 2 life no matter what. And then he either probably will trade with a lot of things. He trades up. He does trade down a lot because he is a 4/2. But yeah, he trades with 4 toughness, dies at 2, unfortunately. But he gains you 2 life just for attacking. So you want to attack with him a lot, and you want to give him trample and buff him up with the enchantment we talked about already. With that, let's talk about the actual spells you want to look out for. The biggest spells I think you want to look out for is Evofluorescence. It's 2 in a green. It's an instant that says put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Infusion. If you gain life this turn, that creature also gains trample and indestructible until end turn. This is just a solid combat trick, not board wipe. And in Seal especially, you always want to have at least a few combat tricks that you can pull out to do something with. Because blocking actually matters in Sealed. And if you can attack and they block, and your creature then survives because you played this spell, and they lose out on their creature, that's a big swing in the game right then and there. The other one is Burrock Barrage. It's 1 in a green. Very similar effect. Target creature control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. If you cast another instant sorcery spell this turn, then it deals damage equal to its power to up to 1 target creature and opponent controls. Good removal spell, and if you swing and hold this until combat, you can trade up even more, because say if you are swinging with a 2/2 or something, they block with the 4/4, which obviously if you swing with a 2/2 they have a 4/4, they probably know that something's going on. They probably will just take the damage. But you can then play this and kill something and then block as well. There's so many ways to be able to use this and take advantage of it during combat, and it's just a good effect to have around. The other spell you should look out for is Oracle's Restoration, which is 1 green. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again because I think it is one of the better commons in the set for green. It says target creature control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. You draw a card and gain 1 life. So Oracle's Restoration is 1 green mana and instantly kicks off the Evofluorescence, the infusion ability, and you also draw a card off of it. So there's a lot of ways, and there's even more cards that do care about gaining life in the first place too. So Oracle's Restoration is going to be a card you want to have in any black-green deck or any deck in general, because gaining the life is just nice to have. Yeah, with that, let's go ahead and talk about some of the actual multicolor cards for each school that you're going to want to look out for. So I first want to talk about Witherbloom. Witherbloom is one of my favorite archetypes, I think. It's going to be so much fun to play in general. The card I want to look out for the most, it's a rare, is Thena's Guidance. It's 1 black and a green. It's instant that reads, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, and put it in your hand or graveyard, then shuffle. Now this is instantly going into my Solitary Reanimator deck. I think it's good enough to go there, put something in the graveyard. Yeah, but in Sealed even, it's a tutor. You can do a lot with it. Tutors in general are really powerful and just thin your deck out even more. The other card you want to look out for is Grapple with Death. It's 1 black and green. Destroy target artifact or creature, you gain 1 life. You're gaining life, which is exactly what the blue wants to do. And you're going to destroy a creature or artifact, whichever is the bigger threat. The final card that I want to look out for that's an uncommon is Lewin, Exchange Student. 2 black and green. It's a legendary creature, Elf Druid. Lewin enters prepared, and exile a creature card from your graveyard. Lewin becomes prepared, activate only as a sorcery. And then her prepared spell is Pest Friend. Black or green, sorcery, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with whenever this token attacks, you gain 1 life. Yeah, you create a bunch of bodies, you can sacrifice them for effects, you can do a lot with it. And it's just good to have. And Lewin is herself a really strong body. And I think she's going to be a good auto-include in any deck. You don't want too many copies of her because she is legendary. But 1 or 2 copies is always going to do good for you. With that, let's go ahead and go into the next college I want to talk about is going to be Lorehold. So for Lorehold, I only picked rares, but all these rares are really, really good in my opinion. And do exactly what you want to do in Lorehold, red-white. First, let's talk about Suspend Aggression. 1 red and a white. Exile target non-land permanent and the top card of your library. For each of those cards, its owner may play it until the end of their next turn. So, red-white, you have that one guy that we talked about that was in white already that wants things to go to exile and leave exile. This gives you 2 cards that leave exile. So if you get both of those, this is a pretty good way to do it already. And then, yeah, like you can remove a creature and opponent controls and you exile top card of your library. You can play that card next turn. They can play the next turn, or they lose their card, or you can do both if your late game has the mana for it. But that comes with some risk of possibly losing a card. The other one is Arc of Hunger. 2 red and a white. It's an artifact that says whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, this artifact deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. You can tap it, mill a card, and you can play the card this turn. So yeah, it's impulse card draw, and playing cards out of your graveyard, having them leave, lets you gain life and deal damage to your opponent, which is going to be good in general too. I think it's going to be a good rare to play around. And finally, you have Aziza, Mage Tower Captain. It's red and a white. It's a legendary creature, Djinn Sorcerer, that says whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you may tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets with a copy. Unfortunately, you don't cast copies, but yeah, you just get extra effects of say, oh, I'm going to suspend aggression twice. I'm going to do this twice. Just whatever strong effects you have, you get to double it. That's always a good thing to do, in my opinion. With that, let's go into the next college I want to talk about is going to be Prismari. Again, I did end up picking a lot of rares for this, but the rares are just so good, and you want to look out for these cards, in my opinion. First up, let's talk about Colorstone Stallion. It's 1 blue and a red. We have talked about this card before, if you remember it. Creature, Elemental Horse, Ward 1 and Haste. And has Opus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 on a turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, create a token that's a copy of this creature. So, and it's a 3/3. So, 3 mana for a 3/3 body with Ward 1 and Haste is already a really good deal. But then to be able to duplicate it for casting cards that cost 5 more mana, I'll take that. Like, that's worth it. Plus, it gets +1/+1. Unfortunately, it's not a consistent +1/+1. It's only until end of turn. But I'll still take that. That's still a really solid effect to have. You also have Resonating Loot, which is 2 blue and a red. Land control, tap, add 2 mana of any 1 color. Spend this mana only to cast instant and sorcery spells. Yeah, like, you double your mana for land you control. I'll take that. That's a really solid deal in general to have too. And then tap, draw a card, act only if you have 7 more cards in hand. The tap ability, I doubt will happen as often as you would like it to. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it happens all the time and you don't realize it. But right now, I don't see it happening too often just because, especially in blue-red, you want to be dishing out spells as fast as possible. You're going to be casting a lot of spells, and you're not going to have the cards in hand, I think, a lot of the time to do the tap effect. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. And finally, we have Sonar, Unfinished Genius. Blue and red, we have talked about him before as well. He's a legendary creature, Goblin Sorcerer. That's a 0/4. And he says, Sonar enters prepared, and he can tap and create a treasure token. Activate only if you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. And his prepared spell is Wild Idea. 3 blue and a red. Search your library for an instant sorcery card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So, he's a tutor, and he lets you copy your Colorstone Stallion or any other effects. So yeah, I think he's going to be good having, and there is the blue pilot that lets you blink something, so you can't blink him to search for another card. And yeah, he is a really solid common I think you're going to want to include in your deck if you have him. So let's go ahead and talk about Quandrix. Quandrix is going to be another good one, I think. It has a lot of really solid cards. My favorites being Berta. Why is it Extrapolator? Wow, I could not pronounce that. 2 green and blue. It's a legendary creature, Frog Druid, that with increment. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Berta, add 1 mana of any color. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Or X and tap. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put X +1/+1 counters on it. So, in green and blue, there's plenty of ways to put +1/+1 counters on Berta, and she even has increment, so just casting a spell will let her do that herself too. And then she just lets you create more bodies, because you cast a spell, you get the +1/+1 counter on her, you get the 1 mana, you can create a fractal token, or you cast more and create more mana. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. We'll see what happens though. Cuboid Colony is probably my favorite green uncommon. It's a green-blue flying trample increment. Whenever you cast a spell, you don't need to describe an increment again. It's just Cuboid Colony, green-blue, flying trample 1/1. It's a cube of bees that literally just comes and attacks and gets bigger the more spells you cast. I think it's cool. I think it's thematically fun, and it's going to be a really solid early game card to have. It's kind of a dead draw late game, but that's where Terrafractal comes in. X green and blue, flying. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life. And it's a 1/0 to start base. So, this card comes in whenever you want, gains you 2 life, and is as big as you need it to be. So yeah, pretty good auto-include at the common rarity, I think, because it also... If late game, if you have Berta or any other increment cards on the field, they'll get bigger based on how big you cast a Parafractal. And yeah, it's just a good common to have. Fills out your board. A scary threat to have on the field as well. With that, let's go to the final college. Final but not least, probably my favorite college of the 5, Silverquill. Silverquill is all about using your words, all about poetry and manipulation. So it only makes sense of what the theming is. So dueling and everything else that it has, and I love the theming of it. But let's talk about the actual cards. Consider's Duelist is probably the one you want to look out for the most. That's a Silverquill rare. It's white, black. Creature, Core Warlock. When this creature enters, draw a card. Each player loses 1 life. Reparty. Whenever you cast an instant sorcerer spell that targets a creature, exile up to 1 target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So if you have this and the other white guy on field, you're just going to make him bigger consistently, and he's rewarding you because you get to prepare a creature again. You get all sorts of effects on creatures entering. Yeah, I think he's expensive, but he's going to be very good at sealed. Standard, I don't think you will see much play, if any. But the next person I think you want to look out for is Abigail, Poet Laureate. 1 white and a black. It's a legendary creature, Bird Bard, that's a 2/3. Flying. Whenever you cast a creature spell, Abigail becomes prepared. So you're casting creature spells all the time, so she's going to be prepared pretty consistently. And her spell is going to be just as good. Heroic Stanza, 1 white and a black, white or black. It's a source that says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So you're targeting something, so you get to trigger Reparty on all your creatures. So yeah, it's going to be good, and casting creature spells gives her her spell back. So you can do this multiple times in a turn and Reparty a bunch of times. Finally, you have Killian's Confidence. It's white and a black that says, it's a source that says target creature gets +1/+1 on a turn, draw a card. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may pay white or black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can cast it multiple times consistently just for doing what you're going to do anyways. So I think it's another, if you see it, you got to pick it up and use it. You got to take advantage of it where you can. But yeah, those are the 3 best cards in Silverquill, I think, and those are all my favorite cards, the cards I think that are best in each color combination that is really supported in this set. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Let me know what you guys think are the best cards. Let me know if I missed any you guys think are going to be scary. Sorry the video is so long. There's a lot to go through, and I'm really excited for this set. This set has so much going for it, and I really can't wait to play it next weekend and other days to come. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Bye.